Since you were a child, you were taught a very simple geography of death. You were given a map with only two destinations. The moment your heart stops, the moment you close your eyes for the very last time, your soul goes straight to its final, eternal home. You were told that you either ascend to the clouds of a glorious heaven, or you descend into the fiery pits of a burning hell. This is the immediate binary of the afterlife. It is what everyone knows. It is the accepted truth of the modern Christian doctrine. It is comfortable in a strange way because it is immediate. The judgment is swift, the destination is certain, and the journey is practically non-existent. You close your eyes here and you open them there. It is a neat, clean, and terrifyingly simple narrative. Generation after generation has lived and died with this exact map printed in their minds. It is the story that comforts the grieving and terrifies the sinner. It is the story that built the cathedrals and funded the empires. The binary choice, the immediate destination, the finality of the last breath. It is a framework that makes sense of the chaos of living by promising an instant resolution upon dying. But there is a problem. There are layers to this map. And the deepest layer is the one nobody wants to talk about. The problem is that there are 3 layers to this truth. And the final layer is the one they actively tried to hide from us. Let us look closer. This brings us to the first layer. The first peel of the onion. The Book of Enoch is one of the most fascinating, terrifying, and marginalized texts in human history. It was not just some obscure piece of parchment written by a madman in the desert. It was a text that early Christians read, studied, and revered. It shaped the very foundation of the New Testament. The early believers breathed the air of Enochic literature. The writers of the epistles quoted it. The early church fathers debated it. And yet, if you open your Bible today, you will not find it there. It was systematically pushed out, marginalized, and banned from the official Western canon. Why? The common excuse is that it was too bizarre, too focused on angels and giants and cosmic wars. But the real reason is much more profound, because the Book of Enoch does not describe an immediate jump to heaven or hell. It describes an architecture that the institution could not control. In chapter 22 of the First Book of Enoch, we are given a completely different architecture of the underworld. It describes a place called Sheol. But this is not the Sheol of the ancient Israelites, which was just a shadowy, neutral grave where everyone went, regardless of how they lived, a place of dust and silence where kings and peasants slept in the same dark dirt, forgotten by time and by God. No. Chapter 22 maps out a highly structured, compartmentalized underworld. It describes 4 hollow places in a great mountain in the west. It describes a bright spring of water for the righteous, illuminated and peaceful, and a designated area of great torment for the sinners, a place of deep darkness and agonizing separation. It details the topography of the dead with the precision of an architect drawing up plans for a prison complex. Every soul has a designated zone. Every spirit has a specific holding cell based on the state in which they left the world of the living. But here is the detail that changes everything. These compartments are not eternal destinations. They are waiting rooms. The Book of Enoch describes a temporary holding place where souls are literally kept waiting until a final, physical resurrection and a final judgment. You do not go to your final destination. You wait. You wait in a dark, structured cavern. You are held in confinement. The separation of spirits happens immediately. Yes, but the eternity does not. You are placed in a cosmic waiting room. You are put on hold. Think about the psychological weight of that. Imagine the souls of the dead, conscious and aware, sitting in these cavernous holding cells for thousands of years, waiting for the end of time. This is the first peal. The realization that the afterlife is not an immediate arrival, but a prolonged, structured confinement. It makes you realize that the official institutions marginalized this book not just because it was strange, but because a waiting room is much harder to control than the immediate threat of a fiery hell. An immediate hell creates immediate compliance. The threat of instant eternal fire is the ultimate lever of power. A waiting room creates existential dread, a slow, creeping realization that the story is not over when you die, and that the institution cannot save you from the waiting. The architecture of death is a waiting game. It is not exactly what you were taught. But wait. It goes further. This brings us to the second layer. And because of this, the entire picture becomes much more uncomfortable. You might think this structured waiting room was just a unique vision given to one ancient prophet, a solitary revelation in the desert. You might think it was a divine download given to Enoch alone. But this architecture of death did not just appear out of nowhere in a vacuum, it was engineered. The transition from a shadowy, neutral grave to a precise, moralized holding space parallels deep existential anxieties of the ancient world, and it borrowed from them heavily. When you look at the historical timeline, you see the fingerprints of other empires all over this Jewish apocalyptic thought. Research into the Zoroastrian influence on Second Temple Judaism reveals a striking parallel. The Zoroastrians, centuries before the time of Jesus, believed in the Chinvat Bridge, the Bridge of Judgment, and the separation of souls into the house of song for the good and the house of lies for the wicked. They had a structured post-mortem system of rewards and punishments, a geography of moral consequence. This stimulated an evolution in Jewish thought. The Israelites were exiled, conquered, surrounded by Persian and Greek and Egyptian ideas, and their concept of the afterlife began to mutate. They absorbed the anxieties of their conquerors and wove them into their own theology. The shadows of Sheol were suddenly illuminated by the flames of foreign judgments, and the dust of the grave was divided into compartments of reward and torture. They needed a map to make sense of the suffering they endured on earth. If justice was not served here, it had to be served in the holding cells of the dead. We can also look at the Egyptian duat. The ancient Egyptians had an incredibly complex geographical map of the underworld, filled with gates, monsters, and trials. But there is a crucial difference. While the Egyptian duat mapped the underworld geographically for the soul to navigate toward an eternal trial before Osiris, the Book of Enoch uses topographical descriptions to communicate God's justice in the form of a temporary holding cell. Enoch functions similarly to the Greek literary journeys to Hades, as historical analyses have pointed out. It emphasizes temporary confinement and future physical resurrection. This marks a massive shift from the neutral Israelite Sheol to a highly moralized afterlife. The Greeks had Tartarus for the wicked and the Elysian fields for the heroic, all within the bounds of Hades. The Enochic vision takes this geographical separation and injects it with Jewish apocalyptic fervor. It creates a space where the soul is not just residing, but actively waiting for a cosmic resolution. It builds a bureaucracy of the afterlife, complete with angelic wardens and strict separations based on the deeds done in the flesh. This means the underworld was constructed over centuries. The geography of death was built, piece by piece, as humanity struggled to understand divine justice. It was an evolution of fear and hope, structured into caves and springs and abysses. The scribes who recorded these visions were not just taking dictation from the divine, they were synthesizing the profound existential terror of a people who had seen empires rise and fall and who desperately needed to know that justice existed somewhere, even if it was underground. And modern accounts reflect this deep psychological imprint. Individuals who report near-death experiences today sometimes do not describe a fiery hell or a pearly gate. They describe encountering overseeing entities. They describe a shadowy holding place, a realm of waiting that resembles the ancient concept of Sheol far more than any modern Sunday school teaching. They describe feeling like they are in a waiting room, watched by entities that feel ancient and detached, stars that observe without interfering. Are they glimpsing an objective, apocryphal realm? Or are they projecting a subconscious architectural fear that has been with us for thousands of years? Either way, the layer is peeled back. It is worse than we thought. The geography of death is a structured prison system built from the anxieties of ancient empires, a holding cell engineered over millennia of human dread. It is a monument to our fear of the unresolved. It is a testament to the fact that humanity has always known, deep down, that the story does not end cleanly. And here is where it gets uncomfortable. This is the core, the third layer, the truth that nobody talks about. If Sheol is a temporary holding place, a compartmentalized waiting room of torment and separation, why did it have to be built? Why would a loving God create these separate holding places just to keep souls waiting in torment for thousands of years? Why not just execute the final judgment immediately and be done with it? What is the purpose of the waiting room? If God is infinitely powerful and infinitely just, why delay the resolution? Why stretch the agony of the wicked and the anticipation of the righteous across thousands of years in dark subterranean hollows? We have to go back to the central narrative of the Book of Enoch. The Watchers, the fallen angels who descended to Mount Hermon, who took human wives, who introduced forbidden knowledge, weapons, cosmetics, and bloodshed to humanity. The Watchers broke the world. They corrupted the fundamental architecture of creation. And because of their rebellion, the earth was soaked in blood and violence. The natural order was shattered, replaced by a chaotic, monstrous reality of giants and suffering. The Book of Enoch is entirely obsessed with the fallout of this angelic transgression. The sin of humanity is almost secondary to the colossal, reality-breaking sin of the Watchers. Humanity was the victim of a home invasion on a cosmic scale. But look at who is paying the price. God binds the Watchers beneath the hills of the earth. He imprisons the instigators in darkness. But humanity, the victims of this cosmic corruption, are the ones who are sent to Sheol to wait. God did not create the compartments of Sheol primarily as an eternal torture chamber for human failure. Sheol, in the Enochic vision, functions as a cosmic quarantine. The Watchers broke the universe, and humanity was infected by the fall. The holding places in the underworld are God's way of separating the infected from the pure until the final resurrection can cleanse the earth. We are paying the price for a cosmic war we did not start. We are the collateral damage of an angelic rebellion. We are the ones sitting in the dark waiting room, listening to the echoes of our own sorrow, waiting for a divine cleanup operation that has taken millennia. The underworld is not a place of personal revenge. It is a containment facility. It is God putting the corrupted elements of His creation into a holding pattern until the fire can sweep across the earth and make everything new. The souls in the dark compartments of Sheol are not just being punished, they are being quarantined. They are the radioactive fallout of the Watchers' descent. The spring of water for the righteous is just a softer cell in the same maximum security prison. It is all a waiting room. It is all a pause in the cosmic timeline. Go back for a second to that phrase from the beginning. You were taught that the moment you die, your soul goes straight to its final eternal home. You see now what that was hiding. That was the convenient version. It is much easier to tell you that your soul goes straight to a tailored eternity than to admit that your spirit will be placed in a cosmic holding cell, waiting for a delayed justice because ancient entities broke the architecture of the universe. The institutional church marginalized the Book of Enoch because it reveals that we are collateral damage. It reveals that the afterlife is a quarantine zone, a containment facility for a species that was contaminated by forces beyond its comprehension. the immediate binary of heaven and hell puts the blame entirely on you. The waiting room of Sheol puts the blame on the cosmic catastrophe, and institutions prefer a theology where you are the sole problem. Because if you are the sole problem, you are the one who needs to buy the solution. But if you are the victim of a cosmic war, if your soul is just waiting in quarantine for the universe to be fixed, then the institution loses its leverage over your eternity. The truth is that we are caught in the crossfire of entities we cannot see, suffering the consequences of a rebellion we did not participate in, and waiting in an underground prison for a rescue mission that was planned before the foundation of the world. Before we reach the final layer, there is something you should know. If this kind of historical excavation makes you question what else was left out of the canon, look at the pinned comment. Everything I found that did not fit in a single video, all the sources and cross-references about these apocryphal texts and the hidden history of the early church, is in those 5 volumes. Make of it what you will. Now, the 4th layer. What does this mean for you today, right now? You probably do not realize why the idea of death makes you so anxious. You think you fear the fire. You think you fear the judgment. But you do not. You fear the waiting. You fear the unresolved nature of the holding place. We live our entire lives in a psychological Sheol. We are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. We are always waiting for a justice that seems delayed, for a resolution that never comes. You feel like you are in a holding cell because, according to the oldest traditions of our faith, that is exactly what the universe is. You wake up every day feeling like you are waiting for a verdict that was postponed thousands of years ago. You carry the ancestral memory of the waiting room in your bones. You feel the architecture of the prison even when you are walking under the open sky. To fully grasp the magnitude of this holding cell, we have to look closer at the topography described in chapter 22. The 4 hollow places are not just random caves, they are meticulously designed. The text describes them as deep, wide, and very smooth. This smoothness is terrifying when you think about it. It implies an artificial construction, a deliberate engineering by divine forces. These are not natural caves formed by water and time. These are cells carved into the bedrock of the spiritual realm by the architect of the universe. The smoothness implies that there is nothing to hold on to, no way to climb out, no friction to assist in an escape. It is a perfect, inescapable holding facility. And within these hollows, the separation is absolute. The righteous are separated by a bright spring of water, a localized source of illumination in an otherwise lightless void. But even this light is not the light of heaven. It is the sterile, fluorescent light of a waiting room. It is a comfort, but it is not a destination. And for the others, the text speaks of a great torment. But the torment is not the chaotic, flesh-burning fire of the medieval hell. It is the torment of separation, the agony of waiting in the dark with the full knowledge of what is to come. It is the psychological torture of the infinite pause. When you read these ancient descriptions, you start to see the profound influence they had on the writers of the New Testament. The parable of the rich man and Lazarus, told in the Gospel of Luke, perfectly mirrors the topography of Enoch, chapter 22. The rich man is in torment, Lazarus is in comfort, and there is a great chasm fixed between them. The New Testament writers did not invent this architecture. They inherited it from Enoch. They breathed the Enochic atmosphere. And yet, the book that provided the blueprint for their understanding of the underworld was systematically erased from the official record. The erasure was not an accident. The councils of Laodicea, the decrees of Rome, the gradual shifting of the canonical boundaries. These were calculated moves to streamline the theology of the empire. An empire cannot run efficiently if its citizens believe they are merely in a cosmic quarantine waiting for an ancient angelic war to be resolved. An empire needs citizens who believe that their immediate actions will result in immediate reward or punishment. The immediate binary of heaven and hell is a far more effective tool for social control than the complex, delayed justice of Sheol. Think about the sheer scale of the quarantine. If the Watchers descended thousands of years ago, and humanity has been infected by their rebellion ever since, then the holding cells of Sheol must be unimaginably vast. Every human life, every broken soul, every victim of this cosmic crossfire, waiting in the smooth, deep hollows. The silence of that place must be deafening. The collective weight of billions of souls suspended in animation, waiting for the end of the age. This is why the near-death experiences that describe shadowy holding places are so unsettling. When people report floating in a void, surrounded by other souls who seem to be waiting, or when they describe being observed by entities that do not judge but merely watch, they are not describing a biological hallucination. They are describing the architecture of Sheol. They are glimpsing the quarantine zone. The human subconscious remembers the map, even if the church tried to burn it. And this quarantine extends to our daily lives. The anxiety of the modern world, the pervasive sense of dread, the feeling that we are constantly on the verge of some catastrophic revelation. This is the psychological manifestation of the holding cell. We are a quarantined species. We build our cities and our technologies and our empires, but deep down, we know we are just pacing the floor of a waiting room. We are distracting ourselves from the smooth walls of the hollow place. The Watchers introduced weapons, cosmetics, and forbidden knowledge. They accelerated our development, but they also introduced the virus of our own destruction. We are living with the symptoms of that infection every day. The wars, the cruelty, the profound disconnection from the natural order. These are the fever dreams of a quarantined patient. And the tragedy is that we blame ourselves entirely. We carry the guilt of the infection, when in reality, we were just the host species for a rebellion we did not understand. God's justice in the Enochic vision is incredibly slow. It is not the swift swing of an executioner's axe. It is the slow, agonizing wait for the laboratory results. It is the quarantine holding pattern. This slowness is what makes the theology of Enoch so difficult to accept. We want immediate answers. We want immediate justice. We want the wicked to be punished now and the righteous to be rewarded now. But the universe does not operate on human timelines. The universe operates on geological time, on cosmic time. And in cosmic time, 1,000 years in the waiting room is just a blink of an eye. So the next time you feel that deep, unexplainable anxiety, that sudden realization that nothing in this world feels permanent or resolved, remember the smooth walls of the hollow place. Remember that you are feeling the ancestral echo of the quarantine. But there is a secondary horror hidden within this ancient blueprint, a layer that scholars rarely touch. Think about the guardians of this holding facility. Enoch speaks of archangels appointed over these specific hollows: Uriel, Raphael, Raguel, and Michael. We have been conditioned to see angels as gentle protectors, winged figures watching over our sleep. But in the Enochic topography, they are wardens. They are the overseers of a cosmic penal colony. They are not singing choruses in the clouds. They are pacing the perimeters of the dark hollows, ensuring the quarantine remains unbroken. They are enforcing a divine mandate that treats the human soul not as a prized possession, but as a contaminated asset. Consider the implication of Raphael's role. He is placed in charge of the spirits of men, specifically tasked with healing the earth that the Watchers corrupted. But the healing process requires time, and it requires the separation of the infected. When people pray to angels for immediate intervention, they are speaking to the very entities tasked with maintaining their confinement. It is a terrifying paradox. We are begging the jailers to open the doors, oblivious to the fact that they are the ones holding the keys to the quarantine. And what happens to a soul that realizes it is in quarantine? According to some esoteric interpretations of Enoch, this is where the true terror of the afterlife begins. The souls in the dark compartments are not merely suffering the pain of separation. They are forced to confront the absolute silence of God. In the immediate binary of heaven and hell, God is present, either as a welcoming father or an executing judge. But in Sheol, God is absent. The holding cells are devoid of divine presence. The waiting room is a place of spiritual isolation, a vacuum where the soul is left alone with its memories and its understanding of the cosmic betrayal. This spiritual isolation mirrors the modern condition perfectly. We live in an age of hyperconnectivity, yet the pervasive feeling is one of profound loneliness, an existential disconnect from anything truly sacred. This is not a failure of technology or society. It is the echo of the holding cell. The modern epidemic of isolation is the psychological bleed-through of the Enochic quarantine. We are experiencing the symptoms of Sheol while still in the flesh. The absence of the divine is not a modern philosophical conclusion. It is the fundamental condition of the waiting room, seeping into our collective consciousness. The Book of Enoch forces us to confront a reality where the universe is vast, ancient, and operating on a timescale that renders our individual lifespans meaningless. The waiting room is not just a place. It is a profound theological statement about our insignificance in the face of cosmic warfare. We are not the main characters in the story of creation. We are the bystanders who got caught in the blast radius of a rebellion we could not comprehend. And until the final bell rings, until the great cleansing fire sweeps across the earth, we will remain in the dark, waiting for a resolution that might still be eons away. The afterlife was not built as your final punishment. It was built as a quarantine for a broken universe, and you feel that brokenness every single day. You feel the weight of a world that was corrupted long before you got here, and you feel the silent torment of waiting for it to be made right. You are already in the waiting room. The only difference is that right now you are still breathing. The anxiety you feel at 3 a.m, the sense that nothing is ever truly resolved, the feeling of being suspended in a reality that is fundamentally flawed, that is the shadow of Sheol stretching into the land of the living. We are a quarantined species, waiting for the end of the age. We are not marching toward a neat and tidy eternity. We are waiting in the dark, hoping that when the doors finally open, the light on the other side is bright enough to wash away the memory of the holding cell. The waiting is the true punishment. And it started the moment you were born. If this descent was worth it for you, the like and the subscription are what tell the algorithm that this content has value. It is what allows me to keep bringing this kind of investigation, the parts that stay out of the books. Which layer surprised you the most? Did you believe in the immediate heaven or hell? Tell me in the comments.